Hi, I wanted to bring to you a Bible study from the book of Genesis, chapter 31 onward. The story is about Rachel and Leah. You've probably heard this story. You know Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, the fathers of the faith. Abraham married Sarah. His son Isaac married Rebekah. But then we get to Jacob. Jacob had 2 wives. So since the Abrahamic covenant was signed or ratified with blood, we have monogamous marriage. Just like in the beginning of the Bible, Adam and Eve, God did not He did not create 2 women for Adam. He gave Adam 1 wife. Abraham had 1 wife. Noah had 1 wife. Noah's sons had 1 wife each. It wasn't until we get to Jacob that polygamy in the nation of Israel was introduced. So, Rachel and Leah, why did God allow polygamy? Well, why did God allow Cain to kill Abel? Why did God allow Eve to eat the fruit? Why did God allow sin into the world? Because God always gives us a choice. So, but He lets you know the best model for doing things His way, the right way. So here we have Jacob. He really wanted Rachel. The focus of the story is really Rachel, because I want to explain to you about the story of the curse of Lilith. Lilith is a marriage blocker. It's a spirit that people say is an old wives' tale or folklore, and they have no proof of Lilith showing up in the Bible. And that may be well and good, but I have come in contact with this Lilith spirit in my deliverance sessions. Lilith is a marriage blocker. And I'm going to show you how Lilith was operating in the life of Rachel. Rachel was in love with Jacob, or Jacob was in love with Rachel. He wanted her to be his wife. It wasn't until Jacob went to Laban, the father of Rachel and Leah, and said, give me Rachel. He was like, okay, work 7 years. Free labor, hardcore labor, free labor. I say that was the first slavery in the body of Israel. Jacob works 7 years. Boom, he gets a wife. Sleeps with her. Consummates the marriage. Only to wake up the next morning and find out it's not Rachel. It's Leah. He's been duped. He's been deceived. The marriage between Jacob and Leah was born out of deception. And then Laban says, well, you can have my other daughter. You can have my other daughter right now, but you got to work another 7 years. So think about how Rachel felt. Rachel was the desired woman, the chosen one. But Leah jumped in front of her. Why? I would say it was the spirit of Lilith that blocked Rachel from getting married, from being number one. Why do I say this? Because Rachel struggled with barrenness. Leah was pregnant every time Jacob slept with her. Rachel couldn't have kids for years and years. Leah was cranking them out like a machine. She ended up having 7 children. Now, let me just explain the things I observed in the the Bible story of Rachel and Leah. Rachel was younger, but she was preferred. She was very beautiful. Leah was older. They wanted the older daughter to get married first, but Leah didn't have any prospects. Who's to know that Leah might have? What if Jacob only married Rachel? What if she was able to crank out 12 kids? I don't know how that worked, but God, He forgives us of our sins and He works with us. So, but there's consequences. So Rachel only had 2 children. She died in childbirth with the second child. The relationship between her and Jacob was birthed in love, and the child that they had, Joseph, he was chosen to be the deliverer. I don't think that's a mistake. Leah's child was not chosen to be a deliverer. Leah was rejected. Her children were rejected by Jacob. Or at least he didn't favor them as he did Joseph. They felt rejected after Joseph showed up. But Leah felt rejected. So, of course, the rejection was going to flow down to the next generation. Now we have Leah died in childbirth, and she was buried on the pathway to Bethlehem. She didn't make it to Bethlehem. What's up with that? She's buried on the side of a path with a big rock as a grave marker. Rachel seemed to be kicked to the curb. Like, every time, she's rightfully supposed to be in this position of the chosen one, but yet she is diminished in different ways. Her child was abused and sold into slavery. The chosen one, Joseph, abused, sold into slavery. So we have here all this stuff happening to Rachel. Leah was rejected, but yet the Lord blessed her womb, and none of her children were blocked. That's how the devil will work. He'll let you have one thing. Yeah, you're the chosen woman. You're the woman that your husband really wants to be with, and his baby mama, is not who he really wants, but yet his baby mama got these kids, and you trying to have kids. You the chosen one, but yet you having all these problems. Why? I mean, you have to seek the Lord on that. But in Rachel's case, let me tell you something about Rachel. Rachel clung to her father's idolatry. How do I know this? When it was time for when it was time for Jacob to leave Laban, he left in the middle of the night, hurried and got out of there after his 7 years was up. And Rachel took her father's idols. When her father came and found them, I can't remember how many days' journey, but he found them along the way, and he found that they couldn't find the idols. He was like, who took my idols? Who took my idols? And Jacob said, whoever took your idols, let them die. He spoke a curse over his beloved chosen wife. He didn't know she was the one who took the idols. That's really messed up. But she set herself up by clinging to idolatry, when she was supposed to be clinging to the beliefs and practices of her forefather, Abraham, Isaac, and now her husband, Jacob. But she clung to those idols. And I would say that's part of her reason why she was barren also. That's why she was kicked to she was second. I did a deliverance session, and this lady was dealing with this spirit that said she'll always be second. She had a spirit of the other woman. She would always be the other woman. Isn't that jacked up? Yeah. Satan can set you up. Are you always the other woman? Are you always second? Everybody who comes to you and say they like you, but then they got somebody else on the side, you always be second? That's a demon. Rachel opened herself up. I would say that's this idolatry that she engaged in. Because you don't just steal idols and hold on to them for no reason, unless this is something you've been doing the whole time. So it's really sad. She was barren. She was the second wife. She was barren. She died in labor. She was buried on the side of the road. That's what idolatry will do to you. But the traits that she exhibited of Lilith was barrenness. Barrenness. Lilith blocks marriage. That too. Her marriage was blocked. She was supposed to get married to Jacob. And there would not have been a second wife if he got Rachel. But once he consummated that marriage with Leah, he had to keep her because they didn't believe in breaking vows. That was just wrong. So I believe Lilith was there because she blocked the marriage of Rachel. And she blocked children. Lilith is a baby blocker. Lilith is a marriage blocker. Lilith makes a woman feel like her husband doesn't love her. And then in the case of Leah, that was the case. But let me tell you, when Leah died, she died with honor. She was buried with Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, in the sepulcher, in their grave, in the tomb, with them. Leah was buried with honor. Rachel was buried on the side of the road. That's messed up. One other observation. Leah had a daughter named Dinah, and her daughter was raped by a Hivite man named Shechem, I believe. And I believe that spirit of rape came in through polygamy. You don't hear about any rapes before the polygamy. Polygamy is sexual perversion. When you open yourself up to sexual perversion in your relationship, in your marriage, your kids are going to suffer. Rachel and Leah were both wives of Jacob, and then Jacob's daughter, Dinah, ended up experiencing rape. So when you let one spirit in over the family, it opens you and your kids up to a whole bunch of stuff. So you think it's okay for you to sleep with your boyfriend, or you guys think it's okay to hook up with these girls and live with them. You're living together, you're shacking up, living in fornication. You're opening things up over your kids. So I just wanted to show you how Lilith was in operation in the book of Genesis. You can read Genesis 31. I believe it maybe before that. But yeah, probably start around chapter 29 or 30. But it was in Genesis 31, 34 where Rachel took her father's idols. When the curse was spoken over her, it was Genesis 31, verse 32. When she died and was buried on the side of the road, that's Genesis 35, verses 19 through 20. It's really interesting that she was Bethlehem. Bethel means house of God. She was buried outside the house of God. And I believe it was because she was an idolater. All right, that's all I'm going to tell you today. I'll get into more of it in another video. Bye.